Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, I want to share a powerful story with you. A tale that has been passed down through generations, holding a lesson that's more relevant now than ever. It's a story about hope, loss, and the dangerous allure of a quick fix. Imagine, if you will, a crystal clear river winding its way through a lush, green landscape. By the bank of this river, a tall, sturdy tree stood, and high up in its branches, a pair of elegant cranes had decided to make their home. They were a devoted couple, deeply in love, and they believed this spot was the safest, most perfect place in the world to start their family. With great care and precision, they wove together twigs, leaves, and soft moss, creating a cozy, warm nest. It was a masterpiece of natural architecture, a symbol of their shared dreams. Soon after, their joy knew no bounds. The female crane laid 3 beautiful, speckled eggs. They were perfect, each one a tiny promise of a new life. The cranes were overjoyed. They looked at the eggs with a sense of wonder and profound responsibility. Their days fell into a gentle rhythm. They would take turns incubating the eggs, one crane carefully settling onto the nest to keep them warm, while the other stood guard or flew off to find food. They would whisper to their unborn chicks, dreaming aloud about the day they would hear their first chirps and see them take their first clumsy steps. The world seemed full of possibility, and their hearts were full of hope. But happiness can sometimes be fragile. One morning, the pair decided to go fishing together. The river was teeming with fish, and they wanted to bring back a special feast. They were only gone for a short while, but when they returned, a chilling silence greeted them. They looked into their nest, and their world shattered. The eggs were gone. Panic set in. They frantically searched around the nest, then on the branches below, and then on the ground. They called out, their cries echoing through the quiet forest, but the only answer was the rustling of leaves in the wind. There was no sign of a struggle, no broken shells, just an empty, hollow space where their future had been. They were heartbroken, their dreams crushed. The cozy nest that once felt like a sanctuary now felt like a cold, empty reminder of their loss. For days, the cranes mourned. The world had lost its color, but these cranes were resilient. Their love for each other and their deep-seated desire for a family gave them the strength to try again. They decided the first location was cursed, a place of bad memories. So, they flew further down the river and found another strong tree, even taller than the first. With renewed determination, they built a new nest. It was just as strong, just as cozy as the last. And before long, the female crane laid another clutch of eggs. This time, they were determined not to make the same mistake. They would be more vigilant. They decided that one of them must always stay with the eggs, no matter what. So, the male crane took on the role of the provider. He would fly off to find food while his partner stood as a steadfast guardian, her sharp eyes scanning the surroundings for any hint of danger. It was a tiring routine, but they were committed. Their hope was rekindled, and they guarded their precious eggs with their lives. But tragedy, it seems, had not yet finished with them. One afternoon, while the male was away, the female crane felt a subtle vibration on the branch. Her head snapped up. Slithering silently up the trunk of the tree was a long, menacing snake. Its eyes were fixed on the nest. The female crane let out a terrified shriek. She flapped her wings and tried to peck at the intruder, but the snake was relentless and cunning. With a swift lunge, it darted into the nest. In a horrifying flash, the snake swallowed the eggs whole. Terrified for her own life, the female crane flew away, her heart pounding with fear and grief. When the male crane returned with a beak full of delicious fish, he found the nest empty once again, and his mate cowering in a nearby tree, trembling with shock. The sight of the empty nest, a second time, was almost too much to bear. Despair washed over them, heavier and darker than before. The male crane was filled with a mix of sorrow and rage. He felt helpless. How could they protect their family against such a silent, deadly predator? He knew they couldn't fight the snake on their own. In his desperation, he remembered an old friend who lived by the riverbank, a wise old crab known for his cleverness and unconventional thinking. The crane flew to the crab's burrow and poured out his tragic story. He spoke of the lost eggs, the terrifying snake, and his own feeling of utter failure. The wise crab listened patiently, his claws clicking thoughtfully. He understood the crane's pain, but also saw the danger in his desperation. After a long pause, the crab proposed a plan. It was a risky one, but it might just work. "There is another creature in this forest," the crab explained, "a mongoose. The mongoose is the sworn enemy of the snake. If we can lead the mongoose to your nest, it will surely take care of your problem." The plan was simple. The crane would catch several small fish and lay them out in a trail. The trail would start from the mongoose den and lead all the way up the tree to the crane's nest. The scent of the fish would be irresistible, and the mongoose would follow it directly to the source of their troubles. The crane, blinded by his desire for revenge and a quick solution, thought it was a brilliant idea. He didn't stop to consider any potential downsides. He thanked the crab profusely and immediately set the plan into motion. He spent the rest of the day catching fish and carefully laying the trail, just as the crab had instructed. The path of glistening fish led directly from the mongoose's home, up the trunk of the tree, and right to the edge of the nest. That evening, as the cranes watched from a safe distance, everything unfolded exactly as planned. The mongoose, drawn by the delicious scent, emerged from its den. It followed the trail of fish, its nose twitching with excitement. It scurried up the tree, and when it reached the nest, it found the snake, coiled and sleeping after its meal. A fierce battle erupted. The mongoose was swift and merciless. In the end, the snake lay lifeless. The cranes watched in awe and relief. Their enemy was vanquished. They felt a huge weight lift from their shoulders. They believed their troubles were finally over. That night, they returned to their nest, and for the first time in a long time, they felt a sense of peace. They were confident that now, finally, their future eggs would be safe. But their relief was tragically short-lived. The very next day, as they were preparing to fortify their nest once more, they saw a familiar figure. It was the mongoose, casually climbing back down their tree, its belly full. A dreadful premonition filled the cranes' hearts. They rushed to their nest, hoping against hope, but their worst fears were confirmed. The nest was empty, again. In its search for more fish, the mongoose had discovered the new clutch of eggs the cranes had laid. And to a mongoose, an egg is just as tasty as a fish or a snake. The very creature they had brought in as their savior, their protector, had become their new predator, an even more efficient one, who now knew exactly where to find a steady meal. In their desperate attempt to solve one problem, they had unwittingly created a much bigger one. Friends, this story is a powerful reminder for all of us. In our lives, when we face problems, it's natural to want a quick and easy solution. We want the pain or the difficulty to just go away. But sometimes these quick fixes, these shortcuts, can have unforeseen and devastating consequences. We invite a mongoose to solve a snake problem, only to find that the mongoose is a greater threat. The lesson here is the importance of patience, wisdom, and foresight. Before you take drastic action to solve a problem, take a step back, breathe, think through all the possible outcomes. Consider the long-term effects of your choices. Rushing into a decision fueled by desperation or anger rarely leads to a good result. True solutions often require careful thought, planning, and a calm mind. Thank you so much for joining me for this story today. I hope it gives you something to reflect on. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more stories with valuable life lessons, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, stay thoughtful and stay wise.